Hey, I'm Katie. And in home care, we spend a lot of time trying to get ahead, trying to make the next move, trying to do the big thing. And a lot of times, the shortcut to our success is actually knowing which questions to ask that truly will get us there faster. Today, we're going to take that topic, nail it down, and find out the way to bring you the most success the fastest here in Action Cast. Welcome to Action Cast. Here we are. Today is the day that we want to introduce the topic that all of us know internally, all of us have heard in different ways, but this is to take it and make it home care specific to show how it best it operates in your agency. And today I have the wonderful opportunity to introduce Clint Nobles. He is co-founder here at Home Care Ops. He is also a leading industry coach, and he has a huge resume. I could say all the things: start from scratch home care owner, multi-agency, all the things. And that's what makes him uniquely suited for this Action Cast today. Welcome, Clint.
Thank you so much. I love being on the Action Cast, and I love what you do with it. Just the type of questions. I mean, obviously today we're talking about questions, and every time I hear the Action Cast, I am so excited to hear what question is she going to ask them next, because you do such a good job with diving in and getting past the noise.
Thank you very much. And that means a lot to me, because I have, with dealing with home care owners, with dealing in an industry, I have learned, even on my level, that questions make the difference. And this conversation is spurred from, we're all excited, you're excited, we're getting ready for the panel discussion that is actually happening this Friday. And this is different in a lot of ways. This panel discussion, even for us, it's invitation only. There's an application process, because we're cultivating, we're learning within ourselves that table and that who comes to that table matters for us. It matters for us being able to show up to them. And the table that y'all have gotten together is incredible. Like just to read over what the panel discussion is going to be is absolutely amazing just to think about. And it has bred so much excitement, and it makes me realize that, man, as we're more focused on how valuable that's going to be to our home care owners, that energizes us on this level. And we have been looking over the questions that you're specifically going to answer to home care owners, to look at where they're exactly at and where our industry is, and be able to forecast from there. And that I will make sure, by the way, I will make sure that the link to get the invitation, to apply for the invitation, will be in these show notes, because it is something that if you can come, and if you're in a position where your agency is to be able to be present, it's something not to be missed. But today I want to dial in on that subject of questions, on that subject of what we're going to do with this for home care in general. And I'd like to introduce you the topic of questions, and kind of give me some feedback from your expertise. Tell me about what you have learned about this questions, asking the right question.
So questions are probably the most important thing in business. And so often as owners, it's the thing that we shy away from a lot. And I'll speak from in sheer honesty. I bring my team a concept, and my team goes, "Oh, that's great. What about this?" And we get defensive, and we're like, well, I haven't thought about that yet, but it'll be good. And we start going down all these roads because we feel the insecurity of uncertainty. And if you feel that, no shame in the game, right? I still, to this day, there's moments that takes me. But what I have learned in life, and Jessica has a statement that she says, we are not successful because of the actions we didn't take, but because of the questions we didn't ask. And if that resonates with you, you're watching this, that resonates with you. put like heck yes in the comments, because I can tell you that resonates with me. When I am staring, both barrels down, what I feel like was a failed decision, a failed attempt, it always is, if I would have just asked this question, right? So innately, we know questions are important, but there's levels of questions. And that's why I'm so excited about being at this panel, because we're going to have Todd Austin with Activated Insights, the COO of Activated Insights. We have Jason Lee, the CEO of Home Care Association of America. You literally have people in this discussion that have sat down with giants in the industry and held their own. They have been with senators, congressmen, presidents, and they have been asked questions, and they have asked questions of them. So what I realized about questions are that there's different levels. Have you taken out the trash? Right? I'm a husband, so this is a question, right? Have you taken out the trash? Well, that's an okay question. And a lot of times that's what we do with our teams. Have you done this job? Have you completed this job? But we're focused on the task, on the problem at hand. And what I want to submit to you today is that true empowering questions. And in the home care boardroom, that's what we talk about this a lot, because you don't present before the board before you understand how to truly ask an empowering question. But an empowering question is something that shifts a focus from the problem to the solution. It encourages responsibility, right? And inspires positive action.
Okay.
Those kind of questions are the things that you have to ask, not have you got this done?
Right. That's very good. And you touched on the fear of asking the question. And I think that's very legitimate. I think that in every relationship, this is business, this is the reason sometimes we don't ask the questions is because we're scared of the answer. And the truth of the matter is, we'll never progress past a certain point unless we genuinely are looking for a genuine answer to the question. But there's that healthy mindset of understanding how to ask it in a way where it produces that outcome of driving us forward, and not just, shame, regret. Like everybody having that whole shame mentality of what we should have accomplished or fear that we won't. That's really good. That's a good, valuable insight to asking questions, because asking questions can be scary.
It is. And we're fixing to dive into the 5 questions, right, that I teach owners to ask. And these are the 5 questions that across the board, whether you are $1 million, you're $10 million, you're $50 million, these are the questions that walking in, you really need to be prepared to answer, or to say, you know what, I don't know, but I know how to find out. So when we dive into those questions are unsettling in some capacity, because they're asking you to find an answer or to have an answer for something that might be a devastating moment. And when we hit devastation in business, it wipes us out, right? It's like, I'm the worst failure in the world and everything happens. And a lot of times we don't want to acknowledge that until like we get slapped in the face with it. But I promise you, Keith Cunningham, a mentor of mine, he makes the statement that all of my problems were once great ideas.
That's awesome.
And if you think about it, all of the problems you face right now in business, I got an employee that just doesn't listen to me. They don't do what I say. My team's not doing, I'm not growing at the rate I need to. All of my problems were once great ideas that I didn't ask the right questions along the way.
That's so good. And taking that moment for what might be a little painful today to up level and to change and to adjust, having the business acumen to face, and like you said, like I know that's what y'all do with the board, like that is a board thing, but to face that and just make that small, but maybe it's a little painful change that winds up the ROI on that small tweak. I think of GPS, I think that rerouting, like just that little turn, that little, follow the road, follow the path, that saves us so much. And like the idea that you have these into 5 questions, that shows how well that I watch you all the time in our coaching carry these owners through. And in 30 minutes, they'll have, oh my God, they have these revelation moments, and it almost is like this spiritual experience when really it's these questions they've been afraid to ask themselves. And maybe there wasn't a learned skill to ask the right question. So I know as we go into these,
right? There wasn't an action cast, right?
Exactly. We didn't have it yet. So as we go into the questions, I want to encourage everybody, take notes, write these down, know that you can rewind this. This is good wisdom, and understand that your coaching owner, everything perspective behind these, this is years of learning that has I have seen these questions adapt and iterate and stuff, because man, there is so much knowledge to be gained. And as you get into this mindset of asking the right questions, that just keeps leveling up. I mean, that just keeps leveling up.
And these questions don't come out of the question sphere, right?
Right.
These questions,
the 8-ball of questions.
These are questions that I had to answer in my business. And I realized that these 5 questions are exactly the map to get me unstuck or to get me out of where I am. So
I'll tell everybody, know right now, these questions come up routinely in our team meetings. This is not, in theory, these are questions we answer routinely. So
yes,
absolutely.
All right. So I guess dive into the questions.
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Everybody's like, oh, what questions? If you're ready for questions, I want questions in the comments. I want to see it. So, all right. So the first question is, these are empowering questions. Remember, shifting from problem to solution. So the very first question that I walk owners through is, what would you do differently if your current plan wasn't an option? And this is a scary one, because we love our plan, and our plan is so good, and we've thought it so carefully, and it's so beautiful, and it's evening gown, and we're taking it around to all the shows, right? But what if it wasn't there? What if it stood you up on that day? What if it didn't happen? So what if you had never thought of that plan? What would you do? So in home care, this relates a lot because, we have one cow in home care for the most part. I call it a cow because we do service by the hour. That's kind of the main bread and butter of what we do. Well, what if it wasn't? What is there? In our agency, we did a membership model,
right?
Flat weekly fees. We did. We created 13 different lines of service. And we did that because I was asked this question. Well, what if your current plan to get to 10 million wasn't an option? And I was like, well, dadgummit.
Well, yeah.
What would I do? Right. So I think this is a crazy important question to ask. And it's important to ask your team. And sometimes we don't want to do that because we don't want the team to feel like our plan will fail. But it's not about if the plan will fail.
Yes.
It's when the plan will fail, right? You and I had an action cast a while back that was talking about the inevitability of failure, and that failure is just research and development. So it's not if your plan will fail. I promise you, your beautiful, my beautiful, amazing plan
Yeah.
is going to get shot to pieces at some point.
Yes. And I can speak from experience. You have personally offended me with this question multiple times. Like, what do you mean? This is my brainchild. I birthed this. It's like I take such ownership of my wonderful ideas. And we have a inordinate amount of visionaries that work in home care ops. And like, we all get so protective of our beautiful ideas. And it actually you're the one that taught this a while ago, is Henry Ford once said, if I would have give people what they were asking for, I would have made a faster horse. But they didn't need a faster horse. They needed a car. And he did something they hadn't done before. He answered a question that they didn't want to ask. Nobody wanted that up level. They liked their horses.
Oh my God. That is, will do my best not to get off on this tangent, but you literally just opened up.
Sorry, we're only at question 1, y'all. We're going on.
So 20-second answer. It's so good because he said, if I would have asked people what they would have wanted faster horses. I gave them an automobile. So in your business right now, what is your clients asking for?
Right.
What did they really want? His clients wanted faster horses. I'm not God. I can't make a horse faster, right?
Right.
But what I can do is make a way for you to have 500 horses in less space.
Right.
How can you do that in your business? Oh my God. Okay. Second question.
Second question.
All right. So number 2, second question. What is the biggest constraint in your business? And what have you not tried to solve it? So constraint, there's a theory of constraints. It's called the theory of constraints. And I obviously don't have time to go into it here, but I'm actually going to talk about it this Friday. But this theory of constraints is understanding what is the one thing that's holding you back. We try and solve 50 million things in our business, but the reality is there's typically one thing that if we solve would take care of 10 of the problems, right? If we did that. So in business and in life, what's the biggest constraint? I don't have enough caregivers. It's not the constraint. I promise you. I don't have enough caregivers to fill the shifts is not the constraint. It might be I don't get my caregivers hired into the shifts on time, in a short enough period of time, or I might not have a consistent flow of clients or leads, right? Or my conversions may suck, right? Whatever it is, the first initial thought is rarely the constraint. You got to go deeper. Right. So what is the constraint that's holding your business? And then the big piece of this is, what have I not tried to solve it? And that's, again, this panel, we're talking about resolutions that stick, right? 2 days ago, in January 19th is known as National Quitters Day because over 100 million people in America alone give up on their resolutions. And they do that because they tried a resolution to fix a constraint that wasn't their problem. I want to go to the gym more. I want to lose weight, so I'm going to go to the gym more. Not going to the gym isn't your problem. It's not my problem. Eating too much, not walking enough. Yeah. Parking as close to the handicap spots as I can.
Morally, as long as I can morally park there, ethically park there, I'm going to do it.
Just so I don't have to, right? But the constraint is my commitment to do the work it takes.
Right.
Going to the gym's not the problem. My commitment to going to the gym is the problem. Right. So what is the commitment and what haven't I tried?
Right. Very good.
All right. So question number 3. All right. So question number 3. Now, this is, they talk about, what is it? Big, hairy, audacious, goals. This is your big, hairy, audacious question. All right. And this is the one that people are like, whoa, don't mess with me, unicorn. So question number 3 is, who on my team drives 80% of our results? Now, that might be you. Okay. You might be the person on your team doing that. Or if you have a team, Who is the person that drives 80% of your, I promise you there's one person that drives 80% of the results. How would the business adapt if they weren't there? Right? Like nobody
even speak about it.
Nobody wants to think of this. We talk about having a, in the boardroom, we talk about what's your succession plan. It's one of the first questions we talk about. And it's not because we're trying to get people to exit their business and like sell their business. It's because we're needing them to exit daily operations. And a succession plan isn't, I'm, riding off in the sunset, right? All my profits strapped to my pony.
Right.
But a succession plan is what happens if this person isn't there? And if that person's not there, you need to have a succession plan for the key players of your business. You might not have a person to fill that void.
Right.
You daggum better have a plan to fill that gap.
That's good. And that is a question that I like, where we talked about fear and shame and stuff before. I feel like that question brings out the vulnerabilities. That makes us feel like, man, I see where I'm exchanging systems and processes for a unicorn, and that's very uncomfortable. It doesn't make me want to, it doesn't make me feel successful, and that's scary. That's not a super comfortable place to be.
Jessica always says that you have to make sure that if your unicorns, well, my statement of this is don't let your unicorns turn into rhinoceroses.
Yeah. And
Jessica says that if your unicorns don't turn into leaders, they become liabilities, right? But the truth is we have a lot of rhinoceroses in our business right now that once were unicorns, and they're really hard to deal with, but we need a succession plan.
Right.
So, all right. So let's recap super quick. Okay. Question number 1. What would we do differently if our current plan wasn't an option? Right. Question number 2. What is the biggest constraint in my business, and what have I not tried to solve it? Question number 3. Who on my team drives 80% of our results? And how would the business adapt if they weren't there? Okay. Question number 4. What recent wins can I build on, and what lessons from them will help me overcome my biggest challenges? Now, this is something, that I call wins and wisdom. And in our business, we do this every Friday. We have a wins and wisdom, right, that we do in the team. Understanding what is working is important. Leveraging the wisdom you gain from why it's working is more important. Stu McLaren says success is about doing more of what is working and less of what isn't. And it's a really simplistic way of stating that, but God, is that true? Yeah. And in our business, if we fail to leverage the wins, we never have success, because success is the result of small wins repeated consistently.
That's really good. And it also makes me realize that you do both ways. Sometimes we have a fear of looking at our past failures, but then sometimes you get in a place where you're almost scared to celebrate and build on your own wins because it feels immodest, or it feels like, that was just a one out or this. But like, to understand, this was successful, so I did something right, and it's not pride to sit here and say, I did something right, so let me figure out what that was and build on it and accelerate. Because sitting there and only beating ourselves down by the failures we've had, or the perceived failures, I'll say we didn't get the outcomes we wanted, because I have heard you teach enough to say there's no such thing as this. And so I understand that, but because something didn't get a desired outcome, or because it did, that doesn't mean, that was just a one out or this or that. there was work involved, and let's see what happened in order to build on that.
There's a reason that, business, being successful in business, everybody refers to it as a game. You got to play the game. You got to play the game of business. And I understand the concept, but the truth is business isn't a game.
Right.
Business is a life. It's a life commitment. And how I know it's not a game is because in a game, when you win, the scoreboard sets to 0.
Yeah.
And you have to go to the next game.
Right.
And play everything as hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in business, you can actually build growth that leverages each of those wins to get better and better.
That's good.
And you have an accrued success, right?
That's really good.
Every time you walk into your business, you're not resetting to 0.
Right.
And that really brings us to the 5th question, because you mentioned something with this. You said, really leveraging these wins and creating consistency and learning from them. The 5th question that I walk owners through every week: who can you learn from or partner with to grow faster? And this is a powerful question, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this, driving down the road, whatever it is, get to a place you can actually write this down, because who can we learn from or partner with to grow faster?
Right.
In business, we start a business because we love the baby, and we birthed this baby. And it's our baby, and it's great, and it's amazing. And I'll never forget, we went into Jessica was in a grocery store, and moms and dads out there, if you know this feeling, we were in a grocery store, and this older lady come up and reached for our baby and just started picking it up. And Jessica cut her off with the meanest death stare. We didn't know this person from Adam, right? She just thought she had the right to pick up our child, right? And so we were like, what? That's what we do in business. We create this baby and we're like, yes, it's so good, so good. I want everybody to know about it, but don't touch it.
Right.
No. Who can you learn from? Because someone's already done it wrong more times than you have.
That's so good.
And I love this Friday sitting at the table with these giants in the industry and people that I'm going to learn from. Jeff Weiberg has curated some powerful questions that we're going to be answering and talking about resolutions that stick. And I can't wait to learn. And I'm going to be taking notes, and I'm going to be learning. And the people that qualify to be in that room, learn, because the room you're in matters.
Yes, it does. Yes, and that's actually what I was just sitting here thinking, listening to you. And I will say, if you're the home care owner that every question that you go over that has identified with you, and you're like, man, I really you feel the truth resonate sort of thing, I want to challenge you of who are you sitting with and who are you talking with when you feel that feed into your soul as an owner? Who are you talking with and interacting with on a daily basis? Is that feeding into you? Are you sitting at a table where you can ask the right questions and get responses that rate those questions? Because I was telling earlier, I was sharing that I have a 10-year-old grandson, and we were having a little family get together, and he came to me and he said, Mimi, I want to sit at the big people table. And I said, and I was trying to pacify him and get him to stay at the kids table. And I said, no, just go talk to him. Ask him questions, have a conversation. And he looked at me and he said, you can only have so good of a conversation with kids. And we had just been talking about this home care owner panel. And he was trying to communicate with me of, I'm just at a maturity level. He felt like he was at a maturity level where he's not getting as much from the kid table anymore. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a burden to say he's turning into a babysitter. And I understand that. We've all been in that transition in life. But as home care owners, we get in that transition too, to where we're trying to set at a table that we've maybe always been comfortable at before. And we really love these people and we have relationships with them. And that's all fine and good. There's value in those relationships. I'm not undermining that. But there will come a time when you need to set at a different table. You need to set at a table where there is a wisdom past where you want to be. I actually heard Alex Hermazi the other day say something about somebody had said, he was in gym life and all this kind of stuff. And one of the muscle builders said, my grandmother told me I should work out and do this. And he's like, unless your grandmother is bench pressing 350 and doing this, just because they're valuable as people doesn't mean they hold the place of authority where they can speak into you about certain things. And I thought, man, that makes a lot of sense. The table you're sitting at matters. And if you make sure and apply to see if you can be at the table where these kind of industry leaders are sitting there. And I'm excited to see y'all be at that table and to hear the wisdom that is no doubt going to come from that panel that day. That just excites me.
I'm lit up about it. Okay, so let's run through the questions really quick for those joining in on the back end. Question number 1. These are the 5 questions to make success 10 times easier. Question number 1, what would you do differently if your current plan wasn't an option? Oh my God. Question number 2, what is the biggest constraint in your business? Not problem, constraint in your business. And what have you not tried to solve it? Question number 3, who on your team drives 80% of results? And how would the business adapt if they weren't there? Question number 4, what recent win can you build on, and what lessons from them can help you overcome your biggest challenges moving forward? And question number 5, who can you learn from or partner with that will help you grow faster?
That's awesome. That is wisdom. And I appreciate you being here with me today, especially knowing that you are gearing up for the panel, knowing what is to come and all the good questions that are going to be asked and answers that are going to be given. The answer matters too. The quality of the answer matters too.
Oh, and trust me, Jeff is not going to let us get away with asking a question for a question. Like, yes. This is not going to happen. We're going to
no internal perspective here. This is all going to be do this, do that.
Like, all right, that was a great question. Now answer mine.
Yeah, he cuts to the chase. There's a reason he grew to over $125 million in revenue. He takes no shortcuts when it comes to answers. So I want to thank everyone today for being part of this Action Cast. I hope that you took notes, that you write these 5 questions down and let them grow and adapt and scale your agency in a way that you really didn't understand. Get the outcomes you want from driving the questions you need to ask. I look forward to seeing everyone again, taking part of this, having another conversation here on Action Cast.